Welcome, everyone. One of the best ways to prepare for the IELTS speaking test is to see it in action. That's exactly what we're doing today with this complete mock test from Spinta. As you listen, think about what the candidate does well and where they could improve. Afterwards, we'll compare notes with a full performance breakdown. Let's begin.
Good afternoon. My name is Mark. Can you tell me your full name, please?
Good afternoon. My name is Lina Petrova. You can call me Lina. I'm glad to be here today.
Thank you. Where are you from?
I am from a small city near the Black Sea. It is not very big, but it has very nice beaches and old buildings. I have been lived here for 5 years because I moved for work and I like the slower pace.
Right. Now I'd like to ask you some questions about your home and family. Do you live in a house or an apartment?
I live in an apartment on the 3rd floor of a block. It is a comfortable place for me and my partner. Not too large but enough. The building is a bit old, but our flat was renovated 2 years ago and now it looks fresh, with bright walls and new kitchen.
What do you like most about your home?
What I like most is the light. The windows are big, and in the morning the sun comes through and it makes me feel very cheerful. Also, the neighborhood is quiet and there is a small park where I can walk. I enjoy making coffee and sitting by the window reading sometimes.
How has your home changed since you moved in?
When we moved in, the apartment was darker and the floors was old. We painted the walls and changed the floors. Also, we added some plants and personal photos so it feels more like our place. Before we did these things, it was quite plain and not comfortable at all.
Let's move on to work or study. Do you work, or are you a student?
I work as a marketing assistant for a local company. My job is doing social media, writing short articles, and helping with campaigns. My position is not very senior yet, but I learn a lot, and it is interesting. I started this job 3 years ago after I finished university.
What do you enjoy most about your job?
I enjoy the creative parts, like thinking of new content and seeing how people react. Sometimes it is stressful because of deadlines, but when a campaign succeeds, it is very satisfying. Also, my colleagues are friendly and we work well as a team, which makes the office a nicer place to be.
How has your work changed over time?
When I first started, I did more routine tasks like scheduling posts and data entry. Over time, I'm given more responsibility and now I help plan strategies. I think I have improved my skills in writing and analytics. Maybe in future I want to become a manager, but I know I need more experience.
Now I would like to ask about hobbies and free time. What do you like to do in your free time?
In my free time, I enjoy reading, cooking, and sometimes painting. Reading is my habit since childhood, and I read a lot of different books, mostly contemporary novels and some non-fiction about psychology. Cooking is another thing I find relaxing. I try new recipes on weekends and invite friends. Painting I do less often, but it helps me to express feelings and be calm.
How often do you do these activities?
I read almost every day, usually in the evening before sleep for maybe an hour. Cooking I do most evenings because I prefer home-cooked meals, and on weekends I try longer recipes. Painting I do once or twice a month when I have time, and the inspiration comes. It is not often, but each time it is very rewarding.
Which hobby would you like to spend more time on, and why?
I would like to spend more time for painting because it is creative and different from my daily work. At the office I use computer a lot, so painting gives me a break and I can relax. Also, I would like to improve my technique, maybe take classes, but sometimes I feel too tired after work to do more in the evenings.
Let's talk about daily routine. What is a typical day for you?
A typical weekday, I wake up at 7, make some tea and check emails quickly. Then I go to work, usually by bus. It takes about 30 minutes. At work, I spend the day on meetings, creating content, and analyzing results. I usually have lunch with colleagues, and in the evening I go home, cook, and sometimes go for a short walk. At night, I read before sleep.
How does your routine change at the weekend?
On weekends, I sleep later, and I like to have a slow morning with a long breakfast. I meet friends, go to markets or exhibitions, and sometimes travel a bit outside the city. Weekends are for relaxing and doing things I cannot do during the week, like long walks, visiting family, or trying complicated recipes.
Finally, in part 1, I want to ask about future plans. What are your plans for the next 5 years?
In the next 5 years, I hope to develop my career, maybe move into a marketing manager role. I also want to travel more, see countries in Europe and Asia. Personally, I would like to improve my language skills and maybe take a course in graphic design. I'm saving money now for a big trip and to pay for further education.
Why is improving your language skills important to you?
Improving language is important because it opens opportunities, both for work and travel. If my English is better, I can communicate with international clients and also read more material without translations. It also gives me confidence when I meet new people and in interviews.
Thank you. Now we will move to part 2. Here is a topic for you. I will give you 1 minute to prepare, and then I would like you to speak for 2 to 3 minutes. Your topic is, describe a memorable journey you have had. You should say where you went, who you went with, what happened on the journey, and explain why it was memorable. You have 1 minute to prepare.
Okay, thank you. I will start now. About 3 years ago, I went to a small mountain town with 2 close friends for a weekend trip. We decided to escape the city because we all needed fresh air and a change. The journey started by train. The route was very scenic with hills, rivers, and small farms. We talked a lot, played music, and shared stories, so the time passed quickly. When we arrived, we walked to our guest house, which was near a river, and the owner was very friendly and prepared local food for us. The next day, we hiked to a viewpoint early in the morning. The climb was not too long, but it was steep in places, and I remember being out of breath but also excited because the view became more beautiful the higher we went. At the top, we could see the whole valley, dotted with houses and streams with mist in the morning light. It felt like time stopped for a while. Something small but memorable happened when one friend slipped on a rock and got a wet shoe, and we all laughed because she continued walking and did not complain. She was just happy to be there. Later, we visited a traditional market where people were selling handmade cheeses and bread, and we tried new tastes. The whole journey was simple, but it was meaningful because I felt close to my friends and more connected to nature. It also reminded me how we sometimes need to slow down and appreciate small things. I think this trip changed how I plan breaks now. I prefer short trips that recharge me rather than long stressful vacations. Overall, it is memorable because of the people I was with, the beautiful scenery, and small unexpected moments that made us laugh. Is that enough detail, or should I say more about the hike?
Tell me more about how you felt at the viewpoint, and why that moment stayed with you.
At the viewpoint, I felt calm and a bit proud because I made the climb, and also very small compared to the landscape. The air was cooler and the silence was only broken by birds. For some reason, it made me think of my grandmother who loved mountains. I remembered her stories and felt close to her. The light was golden and we took many photos, but still I remember the feeling more than the images. It was like a mixture of joy and peace, and that is rare for me in everyday life.
Right. Thank you. Now, part 3. We will discuss travel and experiences in more detail. Why do people travel to new places, do you think?
People travel for many reasons. Some travel for rest, some for adventure or learning new cultures. I think the main reason is curiosity. People want to see different ways of life, taste new food, and meet new people. Travel also can be for work or to visit family. For me personally, travel is a mixture of wanting to learn and also to relax from routine.
How has travel changed in your country in recent years?
In my country, travel become easier because there are more low-cost transport and more information online. Younger people travel more independently, using apps for accommodation and transport. Also, there is a trend to eco-tourism and local experiences instead of big hotels. However, sometimes popular places become crowded, and that spoils the experience, so people try less known destinations.
Do you think travel is more important now than before? Why or why not?
I think travel is more accessible now, but not necessarily more important. For many people, travel is a way to escape stress and learn, but for others it can be a luxury. The internet made us see many places, so sometimes people feel pressure to travel to Instagrammable locations rather than choose meaningful experiences. So importance depends on personal values.
How can travel affect local cultures and communities?
Travel can help local economies by bringing money and jobs, and it can encourage preservation of traditions. But there is also negative impact, like cultural commodification, where local customs are changed for tourists, and environmental damage when numbers are too high. It's important for communities to manage tourism so it benefits them without losing identity.
What can governments do to manage these effects?
Governments can create regulations about visitor numbers, protect natural sites, and support local businesses. They can also invest in infrastructure, so tourism does not harm the environment. Education for tourists about respectful behavior is important too. Policies that involve local people in decision making usually work better.
Some people say travel changes a person's character. Do you agree?
I agree a little. Travel exposes you to different perspectives and challenges, so it can make you more adaptable and open-minded. For example, when I had to communicate with locals without strong language skills, I became more patient and creative. But travel alone does not guarantee change. Reflection after travel matters a lot.
How do you think technology will change travel in the future?
Technology will make travel more personalized with better planning tools and virtual reality previews. It may also help manage crowds and reduce environmental footprints through smarter transport. But there is risk that people rely too much on devices and miss spontaneous experiences. Balance is needed.
Is it better to travel alone or with others in your opinion?
Both have advantages. Traveling with others is fun, social, and sometimes safer. You share costs and memories. Traveling alone gives freedom to choose and reflect. Personally, I prefer to travel with close friends for short trips and alone for deeper learning experiences. It depends on purpose and personality.
Do you think people will travel more or less in the next decade?
I think travel will continue, but maybe change shape. People will travel more regionally and look for sustainable options. Economic factors and environmental concerns may slow long-haul tourism for some, but curiosity will always push people to explore.
Finally, how can travel help solve misunderstandings between cultures?
Travel helps by enabling direct contact and personal stories, which reduce stereotypes. When people meet, they see common humanity and learn context. Programs like cultural exchanges and homestays are good because they create long-term relationships rather than brief tourist interactions, and education before travel helps too.
Thank you. That is the end of the speaking test. I see. Good luck.
The candidate demonstrated Band 6 level performance. Notable grammatical errors included saying, I have been lived here for 5 years when it should be, I have lived here for 5 years, and saying, I am very interested about music when it should be, I am very interested in music. Another occasional mistake was using the wrong verb form, as in the sentence, the floors was old, instead of the floors were old. These errors occurred occasionally across the test, but did not prevent understanding. Listeners could follow the message without major difficulty. Fluency was generally good with natural flow, though there were moments of hesitation and self-correction such as, I think, and sorry, what I mean is, which is typical for this level. Vocabulary was adequate and allowed for clear expression of ideas. Words like ecotourism, campaigns, and sustainable were used, but sometimes word choice was imprecise or basic, for example saying succeed instead of succeeded in a campaign context. Grammatically, the candidate showed reasonable control of simple structures and attempts at more complex sentences, but there were systematic inaccuracies with articles, subject-verb agreement, and occasional tense mixing. This performance earns a band 6 because communication was clear, coherent, and extended with relevant examples and good organization, but systematic grammatical inaccuracies and occasional imprecise vocabulary prevented a higher band. To reach band 7, the candidate needs to reduce frequent grammar errors, improve accuracy with articles and verb forms, and use a wider range of complex structures more reliably. Strengths included strong coherence, good development of ideas, relevant personal examples, and effective organization of responses. Thank you for practicing with this IELTS speaking mock test. Visit Spinta for more comprehensive mock tests and personalized feedback to boost your IELTS score.